Hello and thanks for joining the last edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, US-UK express commitment to peaceful, transparent, forthcoming elections in Nigeria. Warn politicians against violence, manipulation of the process as General Danjuma alleges plots to rig. Court affirms conduct of primaries by Zamfara APC. Others INEC to accept parties' candidates for governorship, legislative seats. And later on, Boko Haram increases attacks in Yobe State, overruns army base in Geida. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Martins Oloja, and Bola Olajuwon. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. As most populous and probably the most powerful black nation on earth, it is understandable when world powers pick more than a passing interest in the forthcoming elections in Nigeria. The United States and its ally, United Kingdom, have expressed commitment to peaceful and transparent elections in Nigeria. In a joint press statement released on Thursday, the US and UK missions in the country say the polls are as important to Nigeria as they are to Africa. The world powers warn that any politicians or individual found instigating violence or manipulating electoral process will face sanctions, including visa and account restrictions or prosecution under international law. The warning is coming a few days after a retired army chief and former defense minister Yakubu Danjuma raised the alarm over alleged plots to rig the election. Let's hear from General Danjuma.
When you are dining with the devil, you must use a long spoon. And government is we need a long spoon. Yes, sir. We are on the eve of election. In addition to just registering, you must have peace. Then they will use soldiers and police to destabilize us and rig election.
General Theophilus Danjuma, one-time Minister of Defense under General Olusegun Obasanjo, and different time, different thing. I think he used to be Chief of Army Staff. Yes. So, Senator in Nigeria Army. Jide, he doesn't talk every time.
Yes.
The last time he spoke about the killings in Taraba and everything, yes, and he spoke about possible conspiracy. Now it's close to the election, and if I get my statistics right, the APC did not win Taraba State in 2015, as in both in presidential and governorship election. If I still get those figures. Yes, PDP had all won. And General Danjuma is like a father figure. He's extremely popular and influential in Taraba State. What do you make of this kind of statement from an elder statesman?
Well, the issue is the godfather of the sitting governor. So
that's Governor Darius Ishaku.
Yes, and whatever I can do to make Ishaku remain in office, he will do. Of course, the APC has not pretended that it is determined to win Taraba at this time, and they are working hard along that line. So Danjuma will do whatever he needs to do to ginger his people, to galvanize them around his godson, so that Architect Darius Ishaku can retain his position. That's everything that he's saying is along this line. And you cannot pretend not to know that Danjuma is also opposed to this government. He's one of the generals who want this government to be kicked out of power. So whatever he says at this time, right up to the time of the election, would never be in favor of the Buhari administration. He supported Buhari at some point, but right now, he will be excited to see Buhari defeated in the election. And whatever rhetorics are coming from him at this time, you know that everything is tailored towards ensuring that, one, Buhari does not return to power. Two, that his godson, Architect Darius Ishaku, retains his position as the governor of Taraba State. That's what he's anxious to see.
Martin, I don't know. The United States and the United Kingdom mission here in Nigeria, they've issued that statement, and they're saying that anybody found in fomenting violence will face sanctions, including visa and visa and account restrictions. You know, our politicians, they like having big accounts in the HSBC of this world, and prosecution under international law. Is this a kind of subtle threat? Why are they interested in our internal affairs, and what's happening?
Well, definitely,
this is not the first time we're having elections.
As the synopsis to this story reads, there are world powers. They said here that this election is like no other. It's important to Nigeria and Africa. They didn't say it's important to them, but they know they themselves will be called upon to bear the consequences if things go wrong here. This is the most populous black nation on earth. It's the most populous in Africa, and it's very important. They can't cope with refugees, because if anything happens in West Africa, no country in Africa can cope with refugees from Nigeria. And the signals they are getting, and the EU observation mission operatives, they were at the Guardian yesterday. They were everywhere collecting intelligence about consequences, about implications of what politicians are saying. If a person like General Danjuma, Obasanjo himself, and all others are speaking, and it appears that something is wrong somewhere. As Jide said, at the time, General Danjuma was supporting this government, and even Obasanjo, at this time in 2014, 2015, before he also spoke in favor of the government of today and spoke against Jonathan. And again, these things, the way things are happening, hate speeches all over the place. Government is no longer talking about hate speeches. People are not talking about hate speeches because hate speeches are coming from all the sides. They are talking about fake news. But this is what they have seen, and they are issuing this warning to politicians for interference and sponsoring violence and others. They also, the U.S. immigration, for instance, law supports extension of such restrictions to members of their families at a time if they violate this. They are using this one to warn all these political leaders and politicians and their supporters who may want to interfere, who may want to sponsor violence or be violent in this election, which is, they are not talking about just the event before, during, and after elections from the statements they both issued yesterday. So it's strategic that US and UK issued this statement same day, at the same time, to warn politicians that their world powers, please be warned. The other time when I came here, I didn't dignify one statement that they issued. But now this is a desperate time, and we see desperation all over the place, and you see politicians, they do not behave the way we want them to behave. Voila. And this is why, at this time, what we failed to do, they are now warning us to please behave.
Behave yourself.
Bola, I don't think there's tension in the land. I don't think so. Ahead of the election, it's barely a month to the election.
If you are not noticing it, that there's tension in the land, from the political circle, from what they say, their utterances. You understand me? That is the more reason the U.S.
The stake might not be as high as
it's not as high
15.
as some people would think. Okay. But basically, you see, from what they've seen all over the world, especially in Africa, African election is always based on tension platform. You understand me? What people say, what the politicians say, what they come out with during the campaign and things like that. And don't forget, you understand me? The Americans and the UK government, they are known for one thing. They use carrot and stick approach. Because what really happened is this. They have interests here. They have companies. And if anything to happen to Nigeria, their company will collapse. And it's likely to affect their home base. And not only that, well, they believe that they are our friends, even though they can't come to Nigeria and say, they want to vote. They are citizens that are not, holding two citizenship. They can't come. You understand me? And say, they want to vote in Nigeria, and it's not possible, for diplomats to come here. But basically, they realize one thing: this is a very big country, and then anything that is going to happen to Nigeria, and by the time we flood the Republic of Benin, we take over Congo, we take over Ghana, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and then you see.
Already, we are there already.
No, we are there already. Not to the level that it will take if there should be crisis.
Okay.
200. Republic of Benin, what is the population? Not up to 6 million.
Not to Lagos State.
What of Ghana? What of Togo? What are you saying? See, the implication is very high. America and US have done their own. Don't forget, international criminal courts may also come, as they did last year, to issue the same threat. They've started meeting the politicians. It's quite unfortunate that this is coming up. And then by the time the election, we end the election, everything will just stop. What they will face is to be going to court. The nonsense that, they've been saying, you understand me? How they be ridiculing the government, the people, Nigeria image, is terrible, my brother.
Jide, it's as if the power brokers, General Obasanjo, General Danjuma, General Gusau, all the generals, the people that you feel that, some people will refer to them as board members of Nigerian PLC, as in that they're determined to unseat
the sitting government.
The sitting government. Yeah. And they've installed administrations in the past. It's as if this is going to be their greatest battle, because it might not be a very easy task.
Yes, they've always, someone like Obasanjo, since he left office, he has never been on the wrong side. He has never supported a government, a civilian government that didn't win an election at the center. Everyone that he has supported has won, because he always knows when to move against you. And he has a history of bringing down governments with his mouth. Remember the interview he granted Tell magazine in 1993, where he described the Babangida regime as a fraud.
And not having human face.
The government didn't last up to the end of that year.
What?
And the same thing with Shagari. Every government after his own, he has found time to criticize. Every government. If Yaradua had not been lost to death so early, I'm sure he would have quarreled with Yaradua. Yaradua was the one who installed him against the wish of many people in his party. So the point that I'm making is, he's always found a way to bring down a government that he doesn't like. And these generals too, they rarely disagree on matters like this. They convinced Obasanjo that, look, Atiku is the candidate that we want to support. We don't like this man who is there. So whatever your quarrel with Atiku, you must resolve it, because that's the person that we want to back. They went to him. Obasanjo would not have forgiven Atiku. Forget about everything that he's saying in Yoruba and all that. He had no plan to forgive Atiku, because not long before then, he had said that even God will not forgive him. But due to pressure from the generals, he forgave him. But the truth is, on the streets of the north, Buhari may not have the support of these generals, but he remains the general of the masses, especially in northern Nigeria. Nobody can dispute this fact. You see pictures, you see people climbing trees at the risk of their lives just to see a man. You saw what happened in Maiduguri. At a point, because of the humidity, they had to even spray water on people, on the multitude that came to see Buhari. So he is the people's general. He is the general that the masses want. The people are detached from these other generals. I'm not saying that those generals are inconsequential. It only means that Buhari must work hard for every vote. The plan before was that Buhari would only go to the geopolitical zones, headquarters of geopolitical zones, one town in the geopolitical zone. But you can see that Buhari, at the rate is going, he will visit 36 states. If anyone told you this some months back, you will have said no. What people were saying before was that no, this election, there's even no candidate. Who is the candidate against Buhari? But they have made this contest tougher for President Buhari, and Buhari is going to be in Oyo and Osun tomorrow. Buhari will have to fight for every vote that he has in this election, because he too knows the threat that those generals represent. They have the finances, they have the contact, both in Nigeria and abroad. So he has to fight. He has to fight for his political life. He has to fight to retain his position. And that's what he's doing. The president is going everywhere. It doesn't matter what state he is, he's going everywhere, because these are the things that have made this election potentially very tough.
All right, moving on now. The impasse created over the conduct of the primary elections by the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Zamfara State has taken another twist. A high court sitting in Gusau has affirmed that APC in the state conducted valid primary elections on the 3rd and the 7th of October 2018. The court, presided over by Justice Mohammed Bello Shinkafi, asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to accept the APC primaries for governorship, senatorial, and House of Representatives and State Assembly seats, and barred the National Secretariat of the party from replacing names of the winners of the primaries. With this verdict, it appears that the situation, fueled by disagreement between the party leadership and the national leadership and the state level, we don't know where this will take us. The implication of this judgment, if a court sitting in Gusau, let me start from you again now, because I want you to give us a kind of insights into what this judgment is about. Yeah. Because as at the last time the Independent National Electoral Commission released the lists, APC wasn't, they didn't field any candidates across board. So what is the implication of this judgment?
But remember, I told you that the courts can still compel them to put those candidates on the list. And that is what will happen. The fact that they released that list does not matter. Remember, 48 hours to election.
2007, yes, Atiku
Abubakar
in 2007.
Won in court and eventually appeared on the ballot. So these things happen. Now, there are two cases, because I've been seeing, even on Facebook, some people are saying, oh, the Zamfara judgment, they don't believe the Zamfara judgment because there was a judgment in Abuja that appeared to validate the position of INEC, not to take the list from the APC. Now, we have breaking news.
We just have a breaking news there. News reaching us say that President Muhammadu Buhari has just sworn in Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad as the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria. This was after he announced the suspension of Walter Onohe as the chairman chambers of the council chamber of the presidential villa. That's today, pending the completion of his trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Let me take that again. The news is saying that President Muhammadu Buhari has just sworn in Justice Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed as the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria. This was after he announced the suspension of Justice Walter Onohe at the council chamber of the presidential villa, Abuja, today, pending the completion of his trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. This is very interesting. Jide? I don't know. Should we stay on course?
Well, it's that's a discussion
for another day. It's quite
the
worrisome.
I don't know whether at the end of the trial he could still return to his position. I don't know.
Can the president suspend the CJN?
I don't know whether that decision came from the NJC, because I know that in the past, when they tried to even get the person who was next to Onohen to assume his position, he refused.
Okay.
He was the one who submitted Onohen's name again, and then the VP was now compelled to swear him in as the CJN. So I don't know what transpired within the NJC before this decision was taken.
This is very interesting. We'll keep track of it. It's a Friday. By Monday, we get all
the details,
details of this story, but very, very interesting.
Unfolded development.
Let's go back to Zamfara.
Now, what I'm saying is, people are saying that the Zamfara matter is fake. Some people have read it out. There was a judgment by a federal high court in Abuja saying that INEC was right to not accept the list from the APC. But the truth is, the national headquarters of the APC went before the court to try to compel the INEC to accept its list. You get the point I'm making? Just so that Nigerians will know the dichotomy between both cases. There are two different cases. The APC national headquarters. The case in Zamfara was instituted by APC in Zamfara state. Now, the case in Abuja was instituted by APC national headquarters, demanding that the judge should mandate the INEC to accept their list. The judge now ruled that they can only accept the list if it was a product of primaries, in Zamfara. So, to that extent, the judge dismissed the matter that the APC national headquarters brought before it in Abuja. In Zamfara, the state high court, when this whole thing happened, INEC Zamfara office came up with a list of candidates. And I said it at that time that for the first time, we are seeing a state office of INEC disobeying with the national headquarters of INEC. It came up with a list of candidates that emerged from the primaries that the national headquarters of APC claimed never held. So it is that same list that INEC in Zamfara affirmed before the judge that the APC held primaries in the state, which it monitored. You understand? Which it monitored. Now, on the basis of that, they went to court, and the court ruled that indeed primaries were held in Zamfara. What actually happened in Zamfara was that the primaries were held. There were 7 wards. There were 7 wards across 5 local governments where primaries were not held on the first day, but they organized fresh primaries the following day. So, but the national headquarters, the representatives that they sent, refused to monitor the primaries held by Yari and his people. most probably because they had made up their minds that it had to be Dauda Lawal. It's a case of APC fighting against itself. But the judgment now is in favor of APC Zamfara state chapter. Of course, that is Abdulaziz Jari's camp. And then they have also said that APC national headquarters should go ahead, the court has mandated to go ahead and accept the list for onward transmission to INEC, because it is the national headquarters that can present list to INEC. So the court, as part of the court in Gusau, as part of the judgment, said they should take that list, which is the product of the primaries held in Gusau, to INEC. And the interesting thing that's going on is that people will talk about appeal. Will this be appealed? Will it not be appealed? I do not see the APC, if it is a party that is not dysfunctional, appealing against this. One, there's not much time left for them. Secondly, you will ask what is the interest of the APC. If you now appeal this judgment, what do you want to achieve? That means you want your party to not have candidates.
Hold the fire, Jide. We have to take this breather. When we come back, we're still on Zamfara issue. We'll talk more. Please stay with us. Welcome back. It's still Journalist Hangout, reaching you live from the television station of the year. And we are looking at the intra-party. It's intra-party crisis.
It's still intra-party. But the thing is,
Zamfara APC.
I wanted to round up by saying that the judge in Zamfara has given the APC a route out of jail, because to not produce candidates in that state is like destroying the lives of some people who had prepared over the years to be something. Now, the question is, will Oshomole, because of his quarrel with Yari, will he now say that they should go, that they will go and appeal? One, they don't even have enough time, because there's a time ceiling within which litigation arising from primaries must be concluded. So they don't even have enough time. If they appeal, then the question will be, what is the interest in the appeal? Is it simply to stop your own party from having candidates in the state and continuing to retain control of the state? So they have to sit down and think that, will it make sense to just play into the hands of the enemy, or just say, okay, let's no victor, no vanquish, the way Jakubu Gawan said back then, let us come together. We've offended ourselves. Yari promised that he could even die and be buried because Oshomole's matter. The two of them, they can now embrace each other because the court has given them. I remember speaking with the INEC chairman, and he said only a court can get them to rescind their decision. A court has told INEC to rescind its decision, and I want to believe that INEC study the judgment and let things go. But APC, what are they going to do? Are they still going to insist that it has to be Dauda Lawal?
The answer to that question is blowing in the wind.
The answer is blowing in the wind.
Martins, I thought there's the kind of plan B before, because politicians are always having, I thought, okay, what APC will just do across the board, instead of losing out completely, they'll just adopt one of these smaller parties and present candidates there. And after the election, they can go back to APC. They can go back to their APC. But with this now, this is like a big respite.
It's a respite. You know that this time they want to protect party interests. And because they don't want representation within the state, maybe governorship or National Assembly representation, State Assembly, to go to the opposition. This time, they don't have any option but to come together and reconcile. Yeah. As I said, this is the time of reconciliation. If they don't want to lose their own interest and representation in Zamfara state, regardless of how it has come, there is this court order. And if they do not pursue it, INEC is always studying it, and once they have this court order, just that it will put pressure on them. Just the one that they mentioned put pressure on them. They had to print things within 24 hours from South Africa in 2007 when they caught
those ballot papers that were not serialized.
Yeah, definitely. They put them,
According to the judgment.
They already have experience in this matter. But you know, the implication all the time is what in 2004, the same Olanipekun SAN, he warned about the implications of just surrendering the democratic process and power to the court instead of the people. Because democracy is about the people.
The people cannot
so that
reconcile their differences.
Governor Amechi of Rivers State, at that time, nobody cast any vote for him. And then it was Supreme Court vote that gave him the governorship. And so many others like that, all the time we are in court, asking the court to validate this, to revalidate this, to cancel this, to restore us, to do this. It has larger implications on validity of democracy and the majesty of democracy I talk about in Nigeria.
The majesty of democracy.
Of democracy, yeah. About the people.
Bola, this is can be compared to what is happening in Rivers State. As I'm talking to you now,
APC has no candidate.
No candidate in Rivers State.
You see.
So the battle for supremacy between Senator Magnus Abe and the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, might rob the party ultimately.
Yeah, but basically, you see, a court ordered that they should not conduct the primary. They conducted in Rivers State.
It's different.
This one is different. The fact.
No, we are still talking about the same intra-party squabbles.
It's intra-party because there was an existing order that they should not conduct the primary in Rivers State when Rivers State conducted the primary. But in the case of this one, you understand me? INEC said they didn't, conduct primary. Not that a court said it. If a court should say that, look, they conducted a primary, and there is no lacuna in the case of opposing judgment. Because like now, as you know, Mr. Oloja rightly said, he said, supposing somebody should go and say he want to validate this or validate that, what will happen? Look, there is an opening for Zamfara APC in the case of the judgments from Gedam. If they should go along with that, fine. And if INEC now say, well, a court said we should take the list, there's no problem about that. Except somebody want to make trouble again. I don't know. Politicians, they are very funny. What matters most to them is their personal interest. Not the interest of the people, always, but their own selfish interest. Let's just hope that, look, they will make use of the opportunity opened by the Zamfara court.
Yeah.
If they refuse, it's going to wipe many people out of job. Because if your faction is in government, your people will be in government. Many people will rally them to get their livelihood. Immediately they uproot it, and another party comes. It's going to be a total change, and it's going to affect many people. That is my stance.
Babajide, we can always talk about looking at the comparison between this and Rivers State.
Yeah.
Rivers State might suffer the fates of Zamfara, has just gotten the respite now. But if nothing is done about Rivers State, they might not field candidates. It might be a kind of easy ride for Governor Nyesom Wike.
Well, I know that they are also working hard through the courts. Maybe the courts will, in the end, listen to them and allow the APC to field candidates in Rivers. I think it will be a tragedy if APC does not field candidates in Rivers, because when you look at the progress that the APC has made in that state, you look at even national, in terms of membership of National Assembly, they've made gains. Some have defected to the APC from the PDP, and the party also even won some by-elections and all that. So they are stronger than they were in 2015. So it will be a tragedy. It will be a massive shame if the APC is unable to at least test their popularity against
Wike.
Wike and other candidates of the PDP. But 2 days is only a long time in politics. Anything can happen. They could also get a favorable judgment in the final analysis. So it's not ruled out and it's not ruled in.
Ogun State, you know, the list was submitted, the report and everything, and they have a candidate, but yet a large chunk of the party went was supported by the governor, Ibikun Amosu, has gone to, what's the name of that party?
APM.
APM. And so the irony of it is that Governor Amosu is campaigning for senatorial ticket of
On the platform of
APC, Ogun Central, and is campaigning for President Buhari. But after 2 weeks after Buhari's election, they'll now take it
go back to the second party.
Yeah, the battleground then.
You know, that is the peculiarity that you find in Nigerian politics. Incidentally, even the president himself, the president accepted that kind of absurdity in Ogun State.
Yes,
the governor went with a candidate, and the president has accepted him.
And they did like this.
What's that their slogan?
That is 4 plus 4.
4 plus 4. As long as 4 plus 4 is acceptable, as long as the president can be supported, you will finally have your way. You can have your way if the people vote for your candidate. I think that is a way of saying that, well, you can have your way, another party can win governorship in the place as long as you can give me presidency. If I get the required percentage in Ogun State. That's the kind of absurdity that we are witnessing in this dispensation. And he took him he took that candidate to the president. And the president welcomed them.
And also the national party,
party
of the party.
So this is the kind of thing that we are witnessing, you know, the way strong men are disrupting democracy. It's all over the world. It's not only in this place. Strong men and democracy. They are disrupting democracy, disrupting even the rule of law, disrupting all sorts of things like that, and they have their way.
Instead of building good institutions.
Yes.
Enduring institutions.
Internal democracy.
All right. Now, moving on now, the Boko Haram menace in Nigeria's northeast is becoming very worrisome after an upsurge in their attacks on military formations and fierce battles with troops in Borno State. It appears they have shifted focus to neighboring Borno states. I think Yobe State. The insurgents have launched relentless attacks on army bases in areas like Buniyadi. In their recent onslaughts, the Boko Haram fighters stormed an army base in Gaidam on Wednesday, leaving about 8 soldiers dead and many others wounded. They also burned, looted the town and carted away some military equipment. Babajide, this is unfortunate again. Quite unfortunate. We're losing soldiers, fought gallantly.
It's, for those who think that this thing is merely limited to Borno State, we are now seeing at least weekly attacks in Yobe State. And usually when they attack, they don't attack one army base. They try to attack 2 army bases at once. If they don't do that, that's
the numerical strength.
Really, most of the time, they simply outnumber the troops, because that's what I heard about what happened in Iran. You know, Iran, they've released the video of the attack on Iran, because I called people who confirmed that video was actually shot in Iran. You know, those who have gone there before, those who are from the area. So once they outnumber the troops have no choice. Because, you know, in the true sense of the word in Nigeria, when they are talking about a battalion, especially in the northeast, the battalion will be between 400 and 500. And a battalion shouldn't be less than 800.
Really?
Yes, but the truth is, we do not have enough troops to man the entire area. So what Boko Haram does is to identify military bases that it can attack and get away with it. So you will find that they go, there's a town called Goneri in Yobe State. Every time they go to Goneri is like a graveyard for them, because we have enough troops in Goneri. We have the equipment, the T-55 tanks, the Vikers. So they always slaughter them when they come to Goneri. But they have been successful with attacks in some other communities. Kukareta, Katarko, Kamuya, Azari, Buneyadi, Bunegeri. So we repair them in Buneyadi, as you will expect, because apart from it being the headquarters of the 27th Brigade, it is also the home of the Nigerian Special Forces School. That is where it is located. So the best trained of our soldiers, that is where they train them. So at that location, when Boko Haram came, they were repelled. But that was not what happened in Gaydam. The initial report that we had was that we had successfully repelled them. But when pictures of buildings that they destroyed began to come out, you know, even people's homes, they took away people's vehicles. Because Boko Haram has truly become a criminal gang. They took away people's vehicles and left. So we really need to do something, because we are not only losing troops, we are losing our equipment to these guys. Equipment that we are complaining are not enough. When Boko Haram comes around, attack our troops, when they attack those troops, the target is the equipment. They want to steal the equipment. You know? So when they steal the equipment, then it makes things worse for us, because we need this equipment. We are saying the equipment are not enough, and Boko Haram still manages to steal some of them. And that's what they do. Even when you take a community from them, they will go and lock around that area. They won't go totally. That is why you find, look at, after we took Baga, do you know they still went and attacked the special forces that we kept in Baga? And why are they doing that? Because they don't want the army to completely have peace in that area. So, and once they continue to attack, then you will be reluctant about fully deploying in the area, because you want to weigh the consequences of full deployment, either of the Navy or even of the Army in that theater. So it's really worrisome. I just hope that we can find a way to put an end to the nonsense that Boko Haram constitutes.
Martin, I'm looking at the plight of Nigerians there. Yeah. In those villages, those areas. I'm looking at the kind of life they'll be living when they're perpetually under,
this attack and threat and fear. And it's really very, very unfortunate, especially when we discuss this subject is every week. And coming after technical defeat issue, and what Jide, was it last week, or was it this week, was referring to?
Okay,
what?
I think I have a caller on the line, Honorable Chidi Lloyd.
Rivers State.
From Rivers State.
Interesting.
I think we lost it.
Okay, what Jide was referring to the other day, when he said that even the Sheikh of Borno told the president about the nexus between what...
He said they are still under siege.
Under siege. And that the report that they normally give the president is different from...
Issues of lies.
Yes, was different from reality on ground.
Yes.
So these are issues. When you juxtapose that one with the problem that the military authorities have always had with the press, and then you will begin to see even management of public information about this thing, without realizing that in this digital journalism age, that truth should not and cannot be a casualty. Because digital pieces of evidence everywhere.
It can only be a casualty temporarily.
Temporarily. you can bury it in the grave for only 3 days, quote unquote, metaphorically speaking. Truth is what you use to manage public information. Assure the people that these people are overwhelming, but the reality on the ground is that we have not technically defeated these people to the extent that, we say it is well. When the governor went to the State House,
The Boston tears.
yes, and wept.
When-
And the man
When
wept.
an old man begins to weep, you know the extent of the problem.
And the Katsina governor was also saying his own in another vein. And these are stories coming before the election, which will make us to ask question whether election can take place successfully in this area.
Yes.
So it will be tough.
Okay,
I
I
hope
think
that
we have,
the answer to that question
we have
will not blow
Chidi
in the
Lloyd
wind.
back
Wind
on the
again.
line.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
Honorable Chidi Lloyd.
Hello, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Talk to
Ayo,
us
good
now.
evening, Ayo.
Which
Good
one you
evening.
did? Talk to us.
Honorable. So what's happening in
Yes,
APC?
I called to clarify an issue
All right.
Yes.
that was raised by the gentleman in blue,
Okay.
Okay.
when he said that the Rivers State, the All Progressive Congress in Rivers State went ahead to conduct primaries despite despite a court order. I just want to quickly say that that is not correct. The issues that arose, the issues that caused the dispute in Rivers State arose from congresses. And you know that Section 87, sub 10 of the Electoral Act serves as an answer clause to courts. No court can stop the process of primaries when it has begun. So I just want to quickly correct the impression is created there that that's not the right thing.
Okay, thank
Then
you.
above all, I commend you gentlemen for the job you are
We
doing.
agree
especially
to.
Babajide
We
and
agree
Ayo.
to.
Thank you, Honorable Chidi Lloyd, former member.
The issue he raised, the subsisting verdict,
No, I think we.
ruling
I think
of the court
we are we,
on the
Bola,
issue
we are done with
is
that.
no, I'm only listening.
No, we
You
are
understand?
done.
It's
So
not
that we
that
can
maybe
discuss.
We can discuss this.
We want to have that.
Yes, just as I was saying, you know, this is not a good story at all. And then it raises this question whether elections can be successfully conducted in these areas. When the other day they were running towards Maiduguri, even when they said, no, it was well with everything was okay, but they were running from
That's a bad
from Baga to Maiduguri. And if
I
how
don't
many
see
kilometers?
how you can do election even in that local government.
How?
Kukawa local government, because there are there are not many communities that people are even living there. The few, Baga at a point just look like the only safe area. And then even that Baga, after those guys went there, people would think twice before relocating.
What is
So-
the name of the governor of Yobe State?
Gaydam, Ibrahim
What is the
Gaydam.
name of this community now?
Get
That,
down. It's likely to be the man's place.
No,
now.
it's actually from Sari, or was very close to Gaydam. But he was raised in this place. That's why.
But because I'm looking at them,
It's,
that's another angle he has raised, the impacts. Because if we have election,
Some flashpoints
and- yes,
at this time.
and you know, INEC
Oh, they will
officials,
slaughter our people if we go
INEC
there.
officials will be posted there.
Youth corps member, we want to go to that
Youth
kind
corps
of place.
members, ad hoc staff might be posted there. That means, are we going to restrict election to IDP
It
camps?
may happen again. At least 10 local governments in Borno State
You see,
are no-go areas for elections.
that is the truth. You understand me? That is the truth. And for 10 local governments,
In Borno
not
North.
to determine,
Borno North
not to have the cause to determine the person that will vote for, that they will vote for, and then the person that will represent them, and the person that will
No,
be their
INEC wants to
governor.
do it.
No, it's a terrible situation.
Don't know how anyone wants to.
No, because like, see, the truth of the matter is that the people fighting our troops, they are well trained. They train them in Libya, Iraq, Iran, and the flashpoints in West Africa. It took the UK ambassador to say that, look, those people are attacking us. The federal government should be able to say that. The military should be able to say that. But it took a foreign diplomat to say that the people fighting in the Northeast and other areas now, they are not just the Boko Haram we used to know.
No, they are not. They are not.
Then another thing is this.
They are not. Plenty of mercenaries.
Formation.
Now, another thing.
Because when you said that, when we were deceiving ourselves that it's only soft targets that they can attend, then they moved to another level. So, okay, you cannot say a military base is a soft target. It's not a market.
It's not a market.
It's like they've even stopped attacking soft targets.
Yes. Another thing we should also know is this. You see, when you keep the arms and ammunition that you want to use to fight insurgents, when you keep it in an armory, you are not giving it to people who are there to be harmed with them. By the time they kill the people around the place,
Bola, you don't know about that one.
Well, I don't know about it, but you see, we also
say things that we cannot. There is no way we will have weapons now and refuse to use the weapons that we have.
No, what I'm saying.
You can say that, okay, that you prefer that they are given the best weapons.
Yeah, that is, I prefer that
not that they are keeping the weapons and refusing.
They haven't used
That is why we are saying the best, that they should acquire the best. That's what I've always wanted for my country.
Yes. But the irony of the matter, even the one that Trump said they should, give to us, they need to go and manufacture them. Do we know the time?
It will take some time.
That is the irony we are having.
No, it's not even us alone. India, as I've said before, even their deal for Apache helicopters, it took more than 5-6 years.
Even Saudi Arabia.
So it doesn't come like that. It's not like a candy that you go and buy on the shelf.
It is not a conventional warfare, and they have been talking about even technical skill for this kind of. That was why when they deployed police quickly said, well, look, this is not our own.
Some policemen even know.
No, but they didn't even say they should go and fight. They said, okay, go and restore civil authority in those communities that we have liberated. But they are not ready to risk their lives.
They are not equipped to handle
the civil
They prefer to man the
The
highways.
civil defense people rejected.
Yes.
Civil defense care.
Meanwhile, you now see civilian JTF. They are risking their lives.
Yes.
Hundreds of them have been killed in this war.
Yes,
they are like the unsung heroes in this war. People, they don't get the attention. They don't get the credit. They don't get the credit that they deserve. Innocent boys.
All those who will just die. No news.
Just took it off.
No news.
So we just hope that. I know that the government is working with Chad now at the bilateral level to see that Chad supports us fully. If Chad will give us that support, because there was a time we concentrated on Zambisa, we cleaned up the place. Now we left Zambisa. At that time we left Borno North, and Borno North is our big problem now. We are not getting so much attacks from Zambisa. Is that Borno North? Those are the ones attacking our troops and killing our soldiers for fun. So if we get the support of Chad, a critical neighbor of Nigeria in this war, then we should be able to concentrate our energies and flush these guys out once and for all.
And it's a wrap on Journalist Hangout this week. I want to thank you, Bola Olajuwon, thank you for being part of the show. Martin Soloja, thank you. And Babajide Kolade Titoju, the maestro. Thank God it's Friday. TGIF. Yes, sir. And that's all on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow, next week, for another interesting episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzuaku. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.